Okay.
Okay, with Allyson, Lorraine, Glenn, Cat's Cradle is the animation short film. It's 10 minutes. It's from Canada. You're from Saskatchewan, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm not originally from Saskatchewan, but I've been here for almost 16 years, so it's probably the longest Canadian city I've ever lived in.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from the Maritimes, actually. I was born in the East Coast, and but I grew up in Ottawa, and then
Okay.
also Edmonton. So I'm truly Canadian.
Yeah, and now you're in Saskatchewan because a lot of people like leave Saskatchewan, but they don't come to Saskatchewan.
Yeah, yeah.
So you teach there?
I do. I teach at the University of Saskatchewan. I teach painting and drawing in the for the School for the Arts.
And how's that going for you?
It's good. I've been I've been here teaching for 16 years. And my medium is mainly like messy mediums like drawing and painting. So it's kind of fun to teach those classes and yeah.
So this is a 10-minute animation film. These films take a long time to make.
Mhm.
They're a very trying process in a good way, probably because it's completed and it looks amazing. How long did it take you to make the film?
Gosh, it actually took me about a year and I want to say year and 2 months to make. But I made it over you could say part-time because because I'm teaching all the time. The film was made in the evenings and sometimes on the
Gotcha.
weekends, and I had a good handful of people who came and helped me animate the film too, so I didn't do it alone. But
So what was the motivating factor to make it?
Originally, the film was created to accompany some paintings that were exhibited at the Vorres Museum in Greece in 2024. But I only had about a month and a half to make the film. So what was originally shown was really, you could say, an outline of of the film. And when I brought it back home, I felt like there was enough there to build out the film within that outline and to create a film that I could potentially circulate through film festivals. So it took another year to like build it out and create, the scenes in between.
So it's like you said, it was good installation in Greece. So the
Mhm.
film itself is inspired by Greek mythology, correct?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you expand on what mythology it is?
Well, it's the story of Ariadne, but it's also the story of Dionysus as well. But this, if you're familiar with that story, it's Ariadne was the daughter of uh, of a very wealthy and powerful man, and she needed to get off that island away from her father, and so she accompanied the Greek myth of or character of Theseus, and he was tasked with killing the Minotaur in the labyrinth. And she knew that he would die if he didn't have help, so she gave him this like magical string to take with him through the labyrinth so that he could find his way out. Otherwise, he would get disorientated, and the Minotaur would catch him. So she helped him do that, but also knowing that he would take her away off the island of where she grew up, which was Crete, and that's also where the labyrinth was. And so she helps him, and then he ends up killing the Minotaur, which is, you could say, a complicated ending to the Minotaur story in a way, because the Minotaurs could also be felt sorry for, given
Yeah.
if you know more about the story. And then she goes off to an island with him, but she doesn't realize that he's not as committed as her, and he leaves her on the island to die. And in many Greek stories, she either dies on the island or she's transformed right away through the god Dionysus, who finds her there and without any food or a company or what have you. And he says, I really like this girl, and I'm going to take her back into the, or actually take her into the underworld, where I can ask to have her transformed as immortal. So he does that, and then the two of them live forever as husband and wife. And and she becomes immortal. So the story is really about a kind of transcendence, about the possibility of having despite the worst kind of circumstances, to be able to rebuild or find another life.
So what like do you remember when you first like heard this story? Like how
Well, I knew the story because of so many, you could say, so many artists I've encountered over the years who are very interested in woven works, and usually any kind of artistic work that's woven is usually associated with the Greek myth of Ariadne. So I knew of that story then, but I actually built a series of paintings that started off with Dionysus. And it took me a number of years to complete this set of paintings. It's a polyptych. It's hard to say, but six panels.
yeah.
But as I was building that series of works, I realized it was as much about Dionysus as it was about Ariadne and her transcending.
Wow. And so basically in that sort of kind of loosely based idea kind of lend to the animation that you're creating in the film. Because in many way people are watching it, I'm sure you know, they're just taking in the experimental kind of emotion of your film, right? And they're interpreting whatever they're feeling inside.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that going into watching the film when I first made, you could say the outline for it, it didn't have the text in the film. And that's why it was really important for me to integrate a bit of text within the film, because I felt like the story is just such a complicated one, like many Greek myths, that
Yeah.
at least allowed for a bit of an entrance point for any viewer who is even unfamiliar with Greek mythology to sort of engage with the film and understand it.
Yeah, it's really solid animation. It kind of gets like it's like a slow build and then it's really cool. So this would be called hand-drawn animation. That would be the technical term.
Yeah, it is hand drawn. So every scene is done by hand, but it's also done on a really big Wacom, because if I were to just draw it and scan it in and make that kind of animation, it would have taken me more like 3 years.
Gotcha. And what's a
So
weight? Tell us what is that? What is a weight scan?
Wacom is it's a screen that they've got this wonderful more recent screen of the Syntec Pro, where you can draw directly on the screen and get drawing effects that look exactly like, the pressure that you use with a pencil is virtually the same kind of pressure you'd use if you were drawing on a piece of paper. So it's virtually the same, it just happens to be digital.
And where do you find one of those?
Well, I bought one
Yeah.
a few years ago. You can buy a Wacom, but you need a pretty good computer to go with it as well. Because I built the films in Photoshop, which is really unusual. Usually,
Mhm.
most animations are done, with more animated programs.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm using Photoshop, is because I can still draw in the same way as I would if I was drawing on a piece of paper.
So how does it start though? Do you start doing like storyboards? Like do you start kind of getting a visual design?
Yeah. I came into filmmaking in a really unconventional way, and again through a drawing and painting practice. So I don't always follow the rules with storyboarding. Maybe later on, with more training, I might start doing that. But what I often do is start with one or two scenes that I can see in my mind's eye, and I'll start with that scene, and then I'll begin writing with words what each scene will be, because I can see the scene in my mind's eye. And then that gets shifted over time. I think what I really like about writing it down in words is that I'm not afraid to like completely change that idea because I haven't invested too much in like the storyboarding
Yeah.
drawing. Yeah.
So and then so do you start working on it like when everything is you know exactly where you're going in the entire film? Like you
Mm, not really. Again, I make films a lot like the way I would make a series of paintings.
okay.
I don't always know
You have
how
a game plan, but you don't really know where it's gonna go. Yeah, okay.
yeah. I guess if I was a writer, I'd probably have like a really, really loose outline. And then if for whatever reason halfway through the story it needs to go somewhere entirely different, I would just go with it.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
And okay, so then you said that you brought in other animators. Like I see on your list of credits, you have more than a few.
Yep.
Where did
Yep, a
you
few
find
people.
where did you find
Not
them?
all, oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, where did you find them? Are they like people you worked with in the past?
Well, they were students that have worked with me. I'm just looking at my list here. They were students that worked with me on some of them on other animations in the past because I did my first two animations, which were Above the Deluge and In the Fray. I worked with a couple people like Shelby Lund. And this time I brought in more people because again, I only had, in the initial stages, I only had a month and a half to
Hmm.
finish, to do the film. So I had to get enough people in that could fit the schedule.
Yeah,
Because not all of them could work, 8 hours every day. A lot of them were students and could only work like 6 hours at a time. There's a couple of them there that only did 8 hours. And then
gotcha.
there's other ones that did like, more like 2 months of work. So yeah.
And they just wanted to work with you, like they wanted to yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I of course pay them.
Oh, okay. So it was yeah, okay. So there's you were compensated. So
Yeah.
is this self financed? Like how did you kind of
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Because I'm independent and I haven't, again, I don't really know how to, I'm at the beginning stage of knowing how to navigate the filmmaking world.
The grants? There's
Yeah,
because they give grants for films like this in Canada.
they do. They do. And I haven't gone there yet because I'm still applying for grants for my painting and drawing practice.
Gotcha.
Sometimes those two things, filmmaking and painting and drawing, sometimes have to be totally separate. I
Yeah,
did
of
get
course.
I did get a really good grant for the first two films. But for these ones, because the timing was I just had so little time, sometimes I have to just make it
Yeah.
and then just sort of absorb the costs and move on kind of thing. But it's a very like low budget film
But
in
what
that
about
respect.
the sound? Like what about the sound design?
Now the sound I found after the film was completed
Okay.
um, because I do have a couple of people that I can work with in terms of sound, but they would need a lot more time again to develop the soundscape for a 10-minute film in particular. So I have what's called synesthesia. So sometimes I can see a scene and I can hear what it looks like. And
Yeah.
sometimes I use those skills to choose the music too.
Well,
Sometimes.
yeah, that's creativity.
Mhm.
That makes sense where you come from, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a painter by trade. That's where you started, right?
Yeah.
And you went to school like for like visual design and
Yeah. So I specialized in painting and drawing. And even when I did my master's degree, I did it in painting and drawing. And I didn't start animation until 2020,
yeah.
2021, 2021.
Wow. So you
Mhm.
kind of like there's been all these COVID creators. I call them COVID creators.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. Is that what inspired you like during because you had some downtime?
Yes. Well, I didn't really have downtime, but me and a musician, colleague of mine, were trying to figure out how to draw more people to musicians that were local here in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And during COVID, they couldn't really perform or even live. So we came up with this idea of creating that's where Above the Delusion and In the Fray came from was two composers we were working with had created music and some sounds based on my visual reaction to those
Mhm.
sounds. And then I built the film based on the sound. Um, and that's where those two films evolved from. And one of them's more, you could say, representational, and one of them's a little bit more abstract. But it was really, those two films were centered around the idea of sound, and that allowed us to showcase those new compositions by those local musicians.
Yeah.
And also it was a bit of an experiment, so there was a lot gained from it too.
Gotcha. Wow, that's amazing though. So then you're putting the visuals, and then like you said, you what did you call it that you have this kind of you
Uh,
see musical vision?
Well, it sounds synesthesia, but I don't actually see the
Synesthesia?
colorscapes that most people see. I usually see like it's usually more monochromatic and shapes that have texture and they move in and out of space.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But this seems like it's a natural. Does anybody before 2021 mention to you that maybe you should be doing this?
no.
Okay.
Definitely not.
And your students know that you do you do this as your kind of like side project or
They know that this is the side project
yeah.
because while I'm teaching them painting.
But it's amazing. You're giving a mood, you're giving an emotion with
Yeah,
sound, with obviously the visuals, kind of like it's all experimental, like I said, in nature, but it's really cool.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How would you describe this movie? Like, what are you trying to say, like thematically?
Well, again, I'll go back on that idea of transcendence. The film is really about um, living through a tragedy and finding a way out of that tragedy
Yeah.
that, that things grow and continue on. It's also, there's a bit of cycle of life embedded in the piece too.
Yeah. So there's some personal like emotion that comes from this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The film, in many ways, I was thinking about something that had happened to me along, like back in 2019, right before COVID. I
Yeah.
had a terrible accident, and and I had to, in many ways, learn. It was an eye accident. I had to learn how to see differently
Oh
again
wow.
and use my eyes differently. And so in many ways it was an accident that really um, pivoted me into a second life, so to speak.
It's yeah, literally like in the theme, like you have to like see differently, right?
Yeah.
Like some that's usually a metaphor for something, but
Yeah.
it's a literal sense, right?
Yeah. 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 And it involved cataract surgery
In
and
the emotional, like
yeah.
not just physical, but the emotional turmoil that must have taken.
Yeah. And especially my eyes, since those are my greatest asset too.
Yeah,
So
you're a painter. Yeah,
if you're a musician. Yeah.
yeah, that's like yeah, 100%, right? So that's like a musician like going deaf, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are the kids these days in school? You said you've been doing it for
They,
16 years. I'm assuming you
yeah.
see a shift in the generation.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually been teaching since 1999, which is a long
Okay.
time. But so I've seen like many transitions between groups of students within those years. But they're very experimental and open-minded. At least the group that I have this
Sure,
year.
but there's a
Yeah,
certain mentality that goes to your that does takes your classes, I guess I would say, right?
yeah, yeah. And I often challenge them with something, and then they often do actually go with me on the journey, which is really wonderful. to see how if they take the risk and experiment in a certain way or another, that they begin to see how their painting practices in particular can expand out. It can become three-dimensional. It can become it can be painting can exist anywhere. The show that's up with my student work right now involves a lot of objects that are painted on. So we were thinking about craft arts, and I was pushing them in that direction this year. And I just love teaching in that sense because there's sometimes I have a question myself in my own practice, and I'm not quite sure how to address it.
Gotcha.
So I give it to my students to solve. And I love how expressive and adventurous they are in how they interpret the
But they're
questions.
going to class because
Mhm.
that seems to be the
Yeah.
problem. They weren't going to class.
For a little while there after the first like year of COVID, it was kind of a problematic in that sense because
Yeah.
I think that people got really comfortable making work in isolation, especially with painting and drawing. And so I did have to shift my teaching a little bit and change it. I had to include a lot more experiential learning, bring in presenters, have more like workshops as part of my class. Um, Things that they could experience in real time became really, really important in the last year.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what we even have that problem with our festival screenings where we're like getting these kids to come to watch films, right? So
Yeah, yeah, real time. They just need to experience like have experiences in real time now. Even
yeah,
even though they're watching something on a screen, and I guess that's the new challenge.
I get it though, because if I was that generation, I'd probably be doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, totally.
It's all there, right? Why go
Yeah.
anywhere?
Yeah, yeah. You can just watch it at home and by themselves with a container of popcorn or
Yeah.
pizza.
So okay, so are you making another film now? You're on your way to making another
I
movie?
do. I actually have a bit of funding for another film. This time I have a bit of funding. It's the Shylock Nature Fund, and the film is going to at least be around an area up here in northern Saskatchewan. A place called Red Berry Lake has a very large bird sanctuary,
Hmm.
and as part of my proposal, I'm creating an animation around the birds and the nature, but more importantly, the emotive response to birds. So I'm going to be thinking about what um, what the sound looks like when I
Yeah,
hear a bird flap its wings or cry, and interpret that through more abstract drawing. Um, and also the nature around in and around that area because it's a saline lake, a lot like you could say Salt Lake City, like
hmm,
Great Salt Lake. It's like a little version, tiny, tiny little version of Great Salt Lake in that respect. It's mainly saline, and there's so it's a very quiet lake. So I'm when I go out there, I'm able to see and hear enormous amounts of birds, and also have the opportunity to um, observe birds that are migrating, but also birds that are endangered as well. Yeah,
gotcha.
like the
Well,
whooping crane.
I love this film. I think it's great, and
Okay.
you seem like a really down to earth person as well. So I like to see that. So I
Okay.
want to see what you do next, and
Yeah, yeah,
I want to see what happens. I want to keep you. Hopefully, you get to keep making movies. I want to see you keep making movies.
cool. Thank you so much. That's very encouraging. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love movies. Like but you have it. There's an original point of view basically in your film. So
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to get more filmmaking skills so that I can also build out these, in a even more sophisticated kind of way. And I
yeah,
hope in the next like 2 or 3 years I start to learn a little bit more of the usual filmmaking skills so that I can sort of blend those with my more experimental
yeah.
approach.
Bring some collaborators on. Like yeah,
Yeah,
like yeah.
yeah.
You learn from each other. Yeah. So you're on your way.
Cool. Thank you so
And check
much.
out the Canadian Council grant. They love films like yours.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
some people on the board though. They're like totally into these films. That's what they wanted. That's what they want to give money to.
yeah. Okay. Thank you so
All right,
much.
let's talk soon when you make your next film.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.